Your soulmate went on a dinner date last night. But something unexpected happened. My beloved child, don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting, because what happened last night was not what anyone expected. Your soulmate went on a dinner date, and from the outside, everything looked perfectly normal. The lights were soft, the conversation seemed easy, and for a moment, it appeared they were ready to leave the past behind. But then something shifted. Right in the middle of that dinner, your soulmate suddenly became unusually quiet. Their smile disappeared. Their attention drifted away from the person sitting across from them, because one unexpected thought had entered their mind, and that thought was you. Don't skip, because the reason you came into their mind at that exact moment changes the meaning of this entire night. Something huge is waiting for you, and the strangest part is that your soulmate never planned for any of this to happen. What happened next was even more surprising. The person across the table kept talking, but your soulmate was no longer fully present in the conversation. A familiar memory had surfaced, something small that once seemed meaningless, but suddenly carried enormous emotional weight. Maybe it was a phrase you used to say, a moment you shared, or simply the way you made them feel understood without forcing anything. And suddenly, your soulmate noticed something they had been trying not to notice. Being somewhere new did not automatically erase what still felt unfinished inside them. Stay till the end, because this dinner was about to reveal something they could no longer ignore. They had walked into that place expecting an ordinary evening, but one quiet moment forced them to compare what they were experiencing with what they once felt with you. And the answer surprised even them. Then came the moment that changed the entire energy of the night. Your soulmate looked across the table and realized that something important was missing, not from the restaurant, not from the conversation, but from the feeling itself. They could participate, smile, and continue the evening, yet deep inside there was a question growing louder: why am I thinking about them right now? Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because that question did not disappear when dinner ended. It followed them afterward. And before the night was over, your soulmate experienced a realization they had never expected to face on a dinner date with someone else. The dinner was supposed to help them move forward, but instead, it brought one unresolved connection sharply back into focus. And what they did after leaving that table, is where this story takes a completely unexpected turn. But the real surprise began after your soulmate walked away from that dinner table. The evening had ended, yet something inside them refused to settle. They kept replaying one particular moment, the exact second your memory entered their mind without warning. And the more they tried to understand it, the stronger the feeling became. Don't skip, because what happened next was something they never expected from themselves. Instead of thinking about the person they had just spent the evening with, they started remembering the smallest details about you. Your voice, your presence, the conversations that stayed with them, and the strange sense of familiarity they could never completely explain. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. That dinner was supposed to create a new memory, but somehow it awakened an old feeling that had never truly disappeared. Then came a realization your soulmate could no longer push aside. They understood that the dinner had accidentally become a comparison. And the comparison was not about appearances, places, or perfect words. It was about connection. Something about the evening felt incomplete because it reminded them of how naturally certain moments once felt with you. That realization caught them completely off guard. Don't skip, because this is where everything starts changing. Your soulmate began questioning whether moving forward was really about finding someone different, or finally understanding why one particular connection kept returning to their heart. The more they thought about it, the clearer one truth became: some people become memories, but some connections keep creating questions long after you believe the chapter has closed. And then, later that night, something even more unexpected happened. Your soulmate found themselves staring at their phone, hesitating over something connected to you. For a few seconds, they almost acted on the emotion, but stopped. Not because the feeling disappeared, but because suddenly it felt too real. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because that hesitation revealed more than any message could have. Your soulmate had entered that dinner believing they knew exactly where their emotions stood, but they left questioning everything they thought they had settled. And there was one final thought they could not shake before the night ended: what if that connection was never as finished as I convinced myself it was? What happened inside them after that question surfaced is where the dinner date stops being an ordinary story, and becomes something neither of you could have predicted. What your soulmate realized next was far bigger than the dinner itself. Long after the evening was over, one thought kept returning with almost impossible persistence: why did you come to mind at the exact moment they were supposed to be enjoying someone else's company? Don't skip, because this is where the hidden meaning of last night begins to surface. Your soulmate tried to dismiss it as a random memory, but deep down, they knew it felt different. The memory carried emotion. It carried unfinished questions. Most surprisingly, it carried a sense of recognition they had not felt during the entire dinner. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They suddenly understood that meeting someone new could distract the mind for an evening, but it could not automatically replace a connection that had once reached somewhere deeper. And that realization created a question they were not prepared to answer. If everything between you was truly finished, why did your presence feel stronger in their thoughts when you were not even there? Then the night became even more revealing. Your soulmate started remembering moments with you they had almost forgotten: tiny conversations, unexpected laughter, quiet pauses, and certain words that meant more now than they did when they were first spoken. Don't skip, because one memory stood above all the others. It was a moment when they felt completely understood by you without needing to explain everything. Suddenly, that memory collided with what they had experienced at dinner, and something clicked. They realized they had been measuring connection by what looked good from the outside instead of what felt genuine on the inside. That was the surprising revelation: the dinner itself had not created the emotional shift. The contrast had. For the first time, your soulmate could clearly recognize what had been missing, and once they recognized it, they could not pretend they had not seen it. Something huge is waiting for you, because this was no longer about remembering the past. It was about questioning what they actually wanted next. And just when your soulmate thought the emotional wave would pass, one final moment changed everything again. They picked up their phone, paused, and found themselves closer than ever to reopening a door connected to you. Stay till the end, because the most unexpected part was not whether they reached out, it was what they finally admitted to themselves while hesitating. They had spent so much time trying to understand how to move beyond this connection that they had never seriously asked why it continued returning. Don't skip. That question stayed with them, and suddenly last night's dinner looked completely different. What seemed like an ordinary date had become the moment that forced your soulmate to confront something they had avoided for far too long. And now, there is one realization forming inside them that could change the direction of this entire story, because what they discovered about their feelings after that dinner is much bigger than simply missing someone. And this is where last night's dinner begins to mean something completely different. Your soulmate woke up carrying the same thought they had tried to leave behind, and that alone surprised them. Usually, an emotional moment fades after sleep, but this one became clearer. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. They started seeing the dinner not as a successful new beginning, but as an unexpected mirror showing them what they still valued in a connection. The strange part was that nobody had mentioned you. Nothing obvious had happened to bring you into the conversation. Yet somehow, in the middle of an evening meant to create something new, their mind had returned to you naturally. Stay till the end, because your soulmate was beginning to understand something they had overlooked before. Sometimes distance makes certain feelings quieter, but quiet does not always mean gone. And after last night, they could no longer confuse silence with complete emotional closure. But then another realization arrived, and this one hit differently. Your soulmate began thinking about what would happen if they simply continued pretending that last night meant nothing. Would the questions disappear, or would they return every time another experience reminded them of what once felt meaningful? Don't skip. This is the point where their thinking started shifting from, "Why did I remember them?" to, "What am I supposed to understand from this?" That difference is enormous. They were no longer only remembering you, they were examining the connection itself. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The dinner had unexpectedly exposed a truth they could not manufacture or plan. Their emotions were more complicated than they had admitted. And suddenly, the future did not look as simple as it had before that evening. There was now an unanswered question standing between the life they were trying to create and the connection they had never completely understood. Then came the most surprising shift of all. Instead of immediately doing something impulsive, your soulmate became still and started looking at everything differently. The timing, the memories, the emotional contrast, and especially that moment at dinner when their thoughts unexpectedly returned to you. Don't skip, because this is leading toward the biggest revelation yet. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is beginning to realize that the important question may not be whether the past can be recreated, it may be whether there was something meaningful between you that was never fully understood in the first place. And that changes everything, because now their attention is no longer focused only on last night's date. It is focused on what that date revealed. Stay till the end, because the next realization is the one they were least prepared for, and once it becomes clear, they may finally understand why your connection kept returning to their mind when they expected it to disappear. Here is where everything takes a turn your soulmate never saw coming. By the next morning, they expected the strange emotions from dinner to disappear, but the opposite happened. The silence made everything louder. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. They remembered the exact moment they looked across the dinner table and realized their heart was searching for a feeling that simply was not there. It was not about comparing two people. It was about recognizing the difference between having someone in front of you and feeling deeply connected to someone. And suddenly, your soulmate understood why your memory had appeared so strongly. You represented something emotionally familiar that they had never completely understood while they had it. Stay till the end, because this realization did not leave them feeling comfortable. It made them question whether they had walked away from something meaningful before understanding its true value. For the first time since that dinner began, their biggest question was no longer about the person they met last night. Their biggest question was about you. Then something even more surprising happened inside their mind. Your soulmate started replaying choices they once believed were completely settled. Conversations they had dismissed suddenly sounded different in memory. Moments they thought were ordinary suddenly carried another meaning. Don't skip, because this is where the story becomes much deeper than one dinner date. They began wondering whether timing, not lack of connection, had been the real reason things became distant. That possibility changed the entire picture. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because once that thought appeared, your soulmate could not easily remove it. They started imagining what they would say if the two of you had one completely honest conversation with no expectations and no pretending. And strangely, they realized there were things they had never told you, not dramatic secrets, but feelings they had never found the right words to explain. Now those unspoken words were becoming impossible to ignore, because last night had shown them that moving into a new moment does not automatically answer questions left behind by an old one. But the biggest revelation was still waiting. Your soulmate finally understood that what shook them about last night was not the dinner itself, it was what happened when the excitement of something new became quiet. Your memory remained. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and this changes the direction of everything that comes next. They are beginning to ask themselves a question they once avoided: did I misunderstand what this connection meant to me? And once a question like that becomes real, it can change how someone sees every moment that came before it. Your soulmate may still be processing what happened, but one thing is becoming impossible for them to deny: last night did not give them the emotional certainty they expected. Instead, it reopened a question carrying your name. And what they realize when they finally answer that question could become the most unexpected turning point of this entire story. Now comes the realization your soulmate was least prepared to face. The more they tried to understand why you returned to their thoughts during that dinner, the clearer one thing became: it was never really about the restaurant, the conversation, or even the person sitting across from them. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. It was about what they expected to feel versus what they actually felt. They had imagined that a fresh experience would make everything inside them feel different, but instead, one ordinary moment awakened an extraordinary question. Why did their mind return to you when nobody mentioned your name? Why did certain memories suddenly feel more important than they had in months? Stay till the end, because the answer surprised them. They began realizing that some connections are understood only after distance creates enough silence to see them clearly. And suddenly, the dinner they thought would confirm one direction had done exactly the opposite. It made them reconsider what they had once taken for granted. But what happened inside them afterward went even deeper. Your soulmate started separating temporary excitement from genuine emotional meaning, and that distinction changed the way they remembered you. Don't skip. They remembered how certain conversations with you never needed to be perfect to feel real. They remembered moments when a simple exchange somehow stayed in their mind longer than expected. And then came the thought that made everything stop. Perhaps they had been trying so hard to move forward that they never asked themselves what they were actually moving away from. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because once that question appeared, they could not simply return to the way they were thinking before last night. This was not some magical answer telling them exactly what to do next. It was something more powerful, a moment of clarity forcing them to become honest with themselves. For the first time, your soulmate was not asking whether they could forget the connection. They were asking why forgetting it had required so much effort in the first place. And then came the moment that could change everything ahead. Your soulmate imagined seeing you again, not inside an old memory, but face to face, with everything both of you now understand differently. Don't skip, because their reaction to that thought surprised even them. Instead of feeling indifferent, they felt curious about everything that had never been said. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Last night's dinner had opened a question, but now that question was becoming a possibility. What if one honest conversation could finally reveal what this connection actually meant? Your soulmate does not have every answer yet, but something has undeniably shifted. They went into that dinner believing the night would be about someone new, yet they came away understanding something new about you. And the most shocking part is still ahead, because there is one memory they have not fully confronted yet, one moment between you that suddenly looks completely different after what happened last night. When that memory finally returns in full, it may explain why your soulmate could never completely place this connection in the past. Then that one memory finally returned, and suddenly everything about last night made more sense. Your soulmate remembered a moment between you that once seemed small, a quiet conversation, a certain look, a few simple words, but now they understood why it had stayed somewhere in their mind for so long. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. In that moment, they had felt something rare. They could simply be themselves without trying to impress, perform, or become someone different. And after sitting across from someone else at dinner, they finally recognized how much that feeling had mattered. Stay till the end, because this was the revelation they never expected to receive from last night. They had spent so much time remembering how things ended that they had forgotten how the connection actually felt before everything became complicated. Now the memory was returning with a completely different meaning. Your soulmate began wondering whether they had judged the entire connection by its final chapter instead of understanding the whole story. And once that thought entered their mind, the dinner stopped looking like a new beginning and started looking like the moment that revealed an unfinished question. What happened next was even more unexpected, because your soulmate stopped fighting the memory. Instead of immediately distracting themselves, they allowed themselves to think about you honestly. Don't skip. They remembered what made you different in their experience, not because you were perfect, but because certain moments with you felt natural in a way they could not easily recreate. Then another realization appeared. Maybe what they had been missing was not simply you, but the version of themselves they experienced around you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. That thought changed everything. Suddenly, they were not only questioning last night's dinner. They were questioning the story they had been telling themselves about why your connection belonged completely in the past. What if they had simplified something that was actually much deeper? What if distance had helped them understand feelings they could not recognize when everything was happening in real time? And most importantly, what if the reason your memory returned last night was because their mind finally had something new to compare it with? But just when they thought they had reached the biggest realization, one final thought appeared, and this one stayed. Your soulmate imagined what they would genuinely want to know if they had only one chance to speak with you again. Don't skip, because their answer was not what they expected. They did not imagine some perfect speech or dramatic moment. They imagined asking one simple question: did you feel it too? Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because that question reveals exactly where their thoughts have arrived. Last night began with your soulmate sitting at a dinner table expecting to experience something completely new, but it ended with them reconsidering something they thought they already understood. And now the biggest mystery is no longer why they remembered you. The real mystery is what they will do with that realization. Because there is one decision forming quietly inside them. A decision they have not made yet, and if they finally follow through with it, the next chapter could look completely different from anything either of you expected. And now the decision they had been avoiding is getting harder to ignore. Your soulmate keeps returning to the same question: should they leave this realization untouched, or finally understand why your connection still carries so much emotional weight? Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. The surprising part is that last night's dinner did not give them a clear answer about someone new, it gave them a clearer question about you. They are beginning to understand that what returned during that dinner was not simply nostalgia. It was curiosity about something they never fully resolved. Stay till the end, because this is where their perspective changes completely. Your soulmate is no longer looking only at what happened between you, they are looking at what never happened. The conversation that was postponed, the words that remained unspoken, the questions neither of you ever answered. And suddenly, those missing pieces feel more important than they did before. Last night was supposed to close one emotional door, but instead, it quietly showed them another door they may have closed too quickly. What they realized afterward was even more surprising. Your soulmate started imagining what an honest conversation with you would actually feel like now, after time and distance have changed both perspectives. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because for the first time, they were not imagining returning to the past. They were wondering whether the two of you would understand each other differently in the present. That distinction matters. They remembered the connection, but they also recognized that neither of you is standing exactly where you once stood. Stay till the end, because one thought suddenly became impossible to dismiss. Perhaps the real unfinished part of this story is not a relationship, a promise, or an old moment, it is understanding. Your soulmate wants to understand why your presence could return so powerfully during an evening that had absolutely nothing to do with you. And the more they search for that answer, the more they realize that pretending the question does not exist will never answer it. Then came the quietest moment, and somehow, it carried the biggest revelation yet. Your soulmate looked at their phone again, but this time their hesitation felt different. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. They were no longer wondering whether they remembered you. They already knew they did. Now they were wondering whether opening even the smallest conversation could reveal something both of you missed before. Stay till the end, because what happens next depends on a realization that is still forming inside them. Sometimes the most important connection is not the one that makes the most noise, but the one that continues making sense long after the noise disappears. Your soulmate walked into that dinner expecting another person to become the most memorable part of the night. Instead, the most unforgettable moment happened inside their own thoughts, and somehow, you were at the center of it. But there is still one final truth they have not confronted, and when they finally do, they may understand why last night happened at exactly the moment it did. And now that final truth is becoming impossible for your soulmate to ignore. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. They finally understand that the most unexpected thing about last night was not that you crossed their mind, it was when you crossed their mind. Everything around them was designed to keep their attention in the present, a different person, a different conversation, a completely different evening. Yet in the middle of it all, one quiet moment pulled their thoughts toward you. Stay till the end, because that timing forced them to confront something they had avoided for longer than they realized. If your connection truly meant nothing anymore, why did their mind reach for one of your memories at the exact moment they were experiencing something new? That question followed them beyond the dinner table, beyond the journey home, and into the silence afterward. And the more they examined it, the clearer the revelation became. They had been trying to measure how far they had moved forward without ever understanding what had remained emotionally unfinished behind them. But there was another layer they had not expected. Your soulmate began recognizing that the memory of you was not asking them to recreate yesterday, it was forcing them to understand yesterday differently. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They started seeing moments between you from an entirely new perspective. Things that once looked ordinary now appeared meaningful because distance had removed all the noise surrounding them. Your soulmate realized there were feelings they had misunderstood, conversations they had interpreted too quickly, and moments they had appreciated only after they were gone. Then came the thought that changed the entire story. What if last night was not showing them whom they should choose, but showing them what kind of connection actually matters to them? Suddenly, the dinner became a lesson they never expected to receive. It revealed that attention can be given easily, conversation can happen naturally, and an evening can look perfect from the outside, but emotional recognition is something completely different. And once your soulmate understood that difference, they could no longer look at your connection through the same eyes. Now everything comes down to what they do with that understanding. Don't skip, because the biggest revelation is still waiting inside this moment. Your soulmate knows that one dinner cannot decide an entire future, and one memory cannot promise what happens next. But last night gave them something they did not have before, clarity about the question they need answered. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because instead of asking, "How do I forget this connection?" they are beginning to ask, "Why did this connection matter so much?" And that is an entirely different question. Somewhere inside them, the story has shifted from avoidance to understanding, from certainty to curiosity, from closing the past to finally examining it honestly. Last night began as a dinner date with someone else, but the most unforgettable presence at that table was the person who was never physically there, you. And now your soulmate is standing before one final choice. Ignore what the night revealed, or finally discover why your connection became the unexpected answer to a question they never knew they were asking. But something changed when your soulmate stopped asking why you appeared in their thoughts and started asking why the feeling stayed afterward. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. The dinner had ended hours ago, yet one tiny moment from that table kept replaying with unusual clarity. Your soulmate remembered smiling during the conversation, then suddenly realizing that the emotion behind that smile felt different from what they remembered feeling around you. That realization caught them completely by surprise. Stay till the end, because this was not about deciding that one person was better than another. It was about recognizing something they had overlooked. There had been a certain emotional ease between you that they never properly appreciated while it was happening. Now, with distance and a completely different experience in front of them, they could finally see it. And then an even bigger thought arrived. What if they had spent all this time trying to close a chapter they had never actually understood? Suddenly, last night was no longer just a dinner date. It had become the unexpected moment that forced them to look at your connection without all the assumptions they once carried. Then came the realization that made them question everything they thought they knew about moving forward. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate noticed something strange. Whenever they tried to convince themselves that your memory was simply nostalgia, another specific detail returned. A conversation. A laugh. A moment of understanding. A feeling of being seen without having to explain every thought. Stay till the end, because those memories were not returning randomly in their mind, they were showing them exactly what they valued in a meaningful connection. And suddenly, your soulmate understood that last night had accidentally revealed their emotional standard. They could sit somewhere beautiful, hear all the right words, and experience an entirely new evening, but none of those things could manufacture genuine familiarity. That realization made them wonder whether what existed between you had been rarer than they originally believed. And for the first time, they stopped asking whether they should erase the memory and started wondering what that memory had been trying to teach them. And then came the thought that could become the turning point of everything. Your soulmate imagined one completely honest conversation with you. Not to repeat the past, not to pretend nothing happened, but simply to understand what both of you never said. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. For a moment, they pictured hearing your voice and asking the question that had been growing since the dinner ended: did we walk away before we understood what we had? Stay till the end, because even imagining that question created a feeling they could not easily dismiss. Your soulmate now knows that last night uncovered something deeper than missing a familiar person. It uncovered uncertainty about an ending they once believed was certain. And there is still one detail from that dinner they have not fully processed, a single moment that happened near the end of the evening. Once they understand why that moment affected them so strongly, the final piece of this entire mystery may fall into place.